It is time for the 2025 Players Championship preview. Welcome, everyone, to Tea Time. I'm Andy Lang, being joined, as always, by my fellow golf expert, Nick Borrman. We're going to break down the course. We're going to go over some outright winners. We're going to talk about some Draftkings Darlings and players that can trip you up. We'll give you a long shot. But first, Nick, we started last week with the one and done. You got the better of me with Scheffler. He won about 450 grand. JT slipped down only about 95 grand. So let's go through our picks this week. One and done. We started last week, so we have all of the big names left. So if you're wondering why we still have some of these names still available, a viewer suggested it, so we decided to start it. Who you got for this week's one and done at the Players?
Just because I beat you at Scottie last week doesn't mean I'm in a good position. It just means I don't have them the rest of the year. So don't worry about it. This week, I like Tommy Fleetwood. I like his consistency. You know, he's week in and week out. He's obviously not yet won on the PGA Tour, and I'm not going to bet him that he does because it's just Tommy Fleetwood. He doesn't win in the U.S., but he shows up consistently in the top 10, top 20 of this leaderboard. We've known, we'll talk about it as we get deeper into the show, this tournament can be very volatile for as far as past results go. So even though he doesn't have necessarily great results at this tournament, you go back as far as Tiger Woods and you're going to find a couple wins. You're going to find some horrible starts too. This tournament is known for that. So it doesn't really mean a lot. You can come in here and catch fire, but I love his consistency. I love his ability to hit fairways and hit greens. And that's what you need at Pete Dye's track to avoid the big numbers and then just, miss a cut. So I think Fleetwood's going to be there on the weekend. I think he's going to be in that top 10, top 20 range come Sunday. Hopefully he can get up even higher and get in that top 5 and really get us some nice money, but I think he'll be there. I think it's a good choice for one and done. It's a hard tournament to really, Augusta, you can zero in on guys with history, but this one's it's tough. So I'm going to go a little outside with Fleetwood.
Yeah, going down the list of golfers, there are only 2 golfers that have finished top 10 in both of the last 2 years. It's Scheffler and Matsuyama. So you're right.
Yeah.
This is one of those that doesn't really have obvious guys that play great here every single year. The weather has a lot to do with that. We'll get into that. I'm going to use my Ludwig Aubert start. I was worried about him last week, with his putting, and he finished outside the top 20, 22nd, not good, but I think he sets up well. This is a course that we'll get into about how it just tests every part of the game, and I love his tee to green. He can take advantage of the par 5s, and this guy that finished 8th here last year. So he got tripped up with the illness about a month, 5-6 weeks ago, and other than that, it's been good. 5th, 1st. I don't really take much into consideration with that 42nd and the withdrawal because of the illness. But, I was off of him last week. This week, I'll be right back on him. I expect him to play well. And, again, with Fleetwood, I expect him to be in that top 20, top 10 mix. That's all you need. Don't forget, Scheffler won this thing shooting -8 in the last round. So, you just got to be there towards the end. So that is our one and done. All right, if you guys could do us a favor and hit the like button, leave us a comment. Great comment section. We see the views going up and up and up, and the comments have been great. Love seeing who all of you are betting on it this week. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get notified when all of the preview videos come out. Listen, perfect time of year for preview videos for you college basketball fans. We've got a ton of them. We'll be breaking down all the college basketball games, and Nick and I will be here every week breaking down the golf tournaments. Huge stretch of golf starting this week. So don't forget to subscribe to that channel. Nick, let's get into the course. Iconic Sawgrass here. It's, they use the saying, the player that plays the best will win the tournament. There's not one particular thing that that you can get away with here. If your putting's not on, you're not going to win. If your irons aren't on, you're not going to win. They've lengthened this course, so now we're looking at about 7,350 yards as a par 72. They've lengthened a couple of the par 5s and some of the par 4s. So this is kind of like the course last week where it's like you got to get the par 5s. That's where the scoreable numbers lie. So I love some of the rough. I love how some of the water is just right up against some of the holes. It's just it's a true overall test. So this isn't a course that you can completely overpower. It's not the greens, the way the greens are, it's really tough to just get a hot putter when you're hitting out of the rough. You got to be accurate pretty much everywhere, which that's probably a reason why Scheffler's won the last 2 years here. So I believe that the 2022 results are the year where you almost have to throw them out the window. That was the one where everybody that played in the Friday afternoon missed the cut, the like 40-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, it was just laughable. So just be careful when you're looking at those results and look at the tee times. Speaking of tee times, only 3 times since 2007 has the winner come from the late tee times on Thursday. Scheffler did it last year. Keimer did it in 2014. And Tiger did it 2013. I don't know what that tells us, but that is kind of a trend you can't really ignore. Like I guess it's weather related, but my gosh, this isn't something that's, just a 5-year trend or something. This goes back a long time here. So I'll go over my favorite hole on the course and the 18th hole rating. But Nick, what's your take on TPC Sawgrass?
Pete Dye. Pete Dye is known for, rewarding good shots and penalizing heavily even the slight miscues. So you got to be patient around this place. It's about hitting fairways. It's about hitting greens. It's about hitting middle of greens. Don't go flag hunting because, again, just one inch sometimes is all that makes a difference in some of these runoffs. Water everywhere. Birdies can be found, and really the history of this event is kind of like last week, where it's usually not low scoring. Last year, 18 players reached 10 under, the 10 under mark. Scheffler's 8 under on Sunday, ended up winning it at 20 under. Unusual for this event. It's only the 3rd time since 1996 that the winner has reached 17 under, because Scottie did 17 under the year before. But at that year, only 4 players reached 10 under. He had just kind of really separated from the pack. So I don't know if it's an anomaly or now it's back-to-back years that somebody's reached 17 under versus one time since before that, going back to 96. So we'll see, I guess. Weather, last week I thought everything was telling us on Sunday we were going to see, gale force winds and these guys really come out and struggle, but it never really came to fruition. Right now it is calling for winds to pick up on Saturday as the highest day and then still sustain pretty well on Sunday. So I guess time will tell if that's the case, but weather looks great for low scores on Thursday and Friday. So the guys do want to get out and take advantage of that. I don't know what to make of your trends that you mentioned either as far as the early, late tee time wave, but don't think I'm not paying attention to it. I just don't know how to understand it. But it's a couple other trends that I think are worth noting here. A lot of it, course experience, you go to Augusta, you're going to find course experience trends out the wazoo. Here you don't, because you're going to find guys that miss cuts and you're going to find guys that win. Rory is a good example of a guy. I think he's got 15 starts. He's got a win. He's got 3 top 10s, but he also has 6 missed cuts. So it just proves that the volatility of this golf course. But form that I think is important is 18 of the last 20 winners have ranked top 35 in strokes gained approach over the previous 12 months. Got to hit good irons. And then 11 of the last 13 have ranked in the top 45 in strokes gained around the green. When you miss, you got to have a good short game. And 12 of the last 13 winners, Andy, finished at least 22nd or better in their previous start, whatever tournament that was. So you got to be coming in this hitting the ball well and in good form. And then I'll mention that 16 of the last 17 winners finished at least 23rd in a previous players as well. So that's the course history experience. It's not that you do well every year. It's just that you've played here before and have a little bit, have had at least, let's say, 1 year of success. But you'll definitely find some guys that have had some ugly ones as well. So that's what I got for the course. I think it's going to be a lot to do, kind of like last week. It is 4-inch rough again with just staying in play, hitting your fairways. Collin Morikawa ball struck everybody to death last week, but just couldn't make enough putts like Henley did. And I think we'll see something similar this week.
Yeah. Also, that's the full Rory McIlroy experience. Like win, miscut, like just never know what you're going to get. No consistency. So let's talk about the favorite hole. This is probably the easiest. Is this the easiest favorite hole of the season?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a no-brainer. 17th hole, par 3, 135 yards. I mean, you say it on paper, it sounds like, oh, what is this? The easiest hole on the PGA Tour, 135 yards, par 3. But this island green, almost no rough. It just drives these guys crazy every single year. They even put that little annoying pot bunker in front, which cracks me up. Like there's not enough going on with this hole. There's several tiers on the green. So, the pins, on the different tier, then your shot lands. Now you've got a fast putt coming here. It could just be a nightmare. And for whatever reason, the water just gives guys absolute fits. It gets in their heads. I was watching a video. It says the club says they pull about 120,000 golf balls out of the water at the end of the year here. It averages about 3 golf balls per guest, which is
wow,
crazy. That's crazy to me. I don't know if I hit 3. I don't know if I hit 3 in there, but
Tin Cup, you got to go until you get it.
I guess that's it. Don't forget last year, Tom Kim was +2 going in this hole. He put his first shot in the water, ended up with a triple bogey, and he just promptly withdrew from the tourney. He's like, had enough. So it's an iconic hole. It's built for drama. You're going to see drama for sure. It would be foolish to pick another hole. So low-hanging fruit. This is one of the most iconic holes in the world. So 18th hole rating is a par 4, 460 yards. Nick, I really like this hole. It's a deceivingly nice hole. It bends to the left. I love that the water is right on the edge. Sometimes it's like, well, there's water on the left. It's like, well, but there's rough that protects it, or there's sand. No, not this one. It's like you pull it just a little bit left. It's going in the water, but the left side is by far the better angle. Like you go over to the right, you've got mulch, you've got trees, and just the way the hole is set up, you almost have to take a little bit of a chance to flirt with the water just to give yourself any chance at a birdie. If you're off to the right, it's a very, very difficult pin to attack no matter where it is. Water's left of the green, bunkers short and long just to create a little bit more difficulty. This is a great finishing 1-2, man. This is a great last couple holes. So I'm going to give the final rating a 7.1 on this one. All right, let's take a look at total strokes gained. This is where Nick breaks down total strokes gained from these guys from the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. So, you mentioned form. So imagine we're probably taking a pretty hard look at this one when you're going into a course that doesn't give us a lot of course history. So what do you make from the chart this week?
Just want to throw out there, you mentioned 17, 18, but 16 is fantastic as well. It's one of the best 3-hole stretches to close a golf course that these guys play all year. So can't wait to watch it. This is, first of all, rinse and repeat from last week. Really, the only change that was made in this order is Russell Henley and Ludwig Aubert flip-flopped one place. That's it. Otherwise, this is cut and paste from last week. But the one difference is the green and the red bars across the top are updated with another winner. Perfect 4 for 4 now in signature events this year that the winner has been in this graphic, the top 10. Russell Henley was in that list again last week. I guess because of the volatility of this event, perhaps if there's a signature event that is going to be the first one to break that trend, maybe it's here. But it's just hard to ignore the list of these players. And by the time you get through 4 tough days on a tough golf course, the best players in the world just rise to the top. Most notably, and you were right about last week, with Xander. He is I liked his price. His price got even longer this week, but clearly, he struggled. He did a great job on Friday just to make the cut late in that round to keep that streak going. But aside from that, probably somebody you want to avoid until you start to see some love coming back and some life coming back in his golf game. Another guy I like on this list, I mentioned him in the one and dones, Tommy Fleetwood, just under the radar. You never really talk about him because he doesn't win, but he just consistently posts solid top results. And then I'll throw in one last name I think that's worth mentioning here. Hideki. Is it just me, or does that guy win when you just stop talking about him? Like he's won 3 times in the past, 14 months or something. But it's always when you're like, I'll bet Hideki this week. I'll bet Hideki this. Then 3 weeks go by, you don't talk about it, all of a sudden he wins. I feel like he's kind of in that moment again right now. Yeah, he won this century, but have we talked about him since then? Kind of like where he likes to show up.
No.
We really haven't. Last note I'll make, he deserves all the credit in the world. Maybe the best golf Twitter follow as well. Michael Kim, throwing him on the bottom of the list, playing incredible golf this year, as you can see by his last 3 months strokes gained numbers. But great follow on Twitter, tells the story of what it's like to be a PGA pro, the traveling, the nuance week to week, what he does to prepare for tournament. I mean, it's a great follow on Twitter for golf. So, but kudos to him. He's playing great. He deserves a spot on there. And I bet he's going to have another good week there. All signs are pointing to him doing it. So that's your strokes gained this week, Andy. I do once again believe the winner's probably coming from this graphic.
I'm with you. It's just on a course where they just keep harping on. Well, the best player, the player that plays the best this week over 4 rounds is going to win. It's got to come from one of those guys. So Michael Kim came out of nowhere. Like, where did this notoriety come from? He's almost golfer of the year at this point, just with what he's done for his brand, So shout out to him. We're running a 30-day special. We talked about how this is a huge stretch of golf, so got to take advantage of it. So we're running a 30-day promo for all of our plays. You can join Nick. You can join myself for the next 5 weeks. That's going to get you 5 tournaments. We're running it. It's normally $99, dropping it price in half for $49. That is less than $10 a week for all of our plays. And listen, you're going to get this week's plays at the Players. You're going to get Valspar, the Houston Open, the Valero Texas Open, and the Masters. So it's a massive 5-week run. Yeah, we run this special every year. It's one of the more popular golf specials that we run. So take advantage of it. You got to get five banger tournaments that we're going to have a lot of fun with and hopefully get a lot of profits bringing in. I'm on a nice 6-0 run in golf. I've got a 5% best bet that is up. You can grab that over there, wt.buzz/AL. You can get Nick's plays, all of his outright winners, everything included in that for only $49. It is a smoking deal, only $10 a week for all of these plays. Don't need a promo code. Just go to wt.buzz/NB or wt.buzz/AL, and they will be available on our player profile pages. All right, Nick, let's talk some players that can trip you up. Xander Schauffele led it off last week. I'm going right back to him. Last week was pretty much what I was worried about, which is just the consistency. Had a couple good rounds and then, some really bad ones. And fact is, you're right. He snuck into the cut and then -3 in round 4, to finish 40th. But I mean, that wasn't a 40th place, performance from him. I think it's going to take more than just a couple tournaments to knock the rust off. And he was pretty open about saying, I just need to get some reps in before the Masters. So I think that's what he's doing. I still think he lost muscle. I don't think he's been able to work out. I don't think he's been able to practice like he normally is. His driving accuracy was fine. His putting was horrific. Around the green was even worse. The only thing that he did well was his approaches. I just think a stacked field on a course that demands a good performance in all parts of the game, I just don't think his consistency is going to be there. I think he's going to need to play himself back into shape before I'm willing to bet on him. So he's priced as a top 6 guy. Absolutely no shot. I'm betting on Xander Schauffele. No shot whatsoever. I just don't see it. All right, I'm rolling the dice with these next 2 guys. I'm going to roll the dice with Collin Morikawa as a guy that could trip you up. Possible letdown spot after what happened to him in the 4th round to lose it last week. Listen, his numbers are really good, but this, of course, he just does not play really well at for some reason. And you would think his game would set up well here, but 45th, 13th miscut, and 41st in his 4 appearances. You look at his past history, and it just comes down to putting. He's negative strokes gained in all 4 of those tournaments putting. Last year, he really struggled with approach and accuracy off the tee. Just think this might be a letdown spot in a bad course history. So I just think you're playing with fire on a guy that's priced this high where there's a lot of things that could pop up for a bad performance for him. And then as much as I was all over Russell Henley last week, he wins. Now I got to put him on the players that can trip you up. You're going to have to pay a premium price for Henley. That was the best thing about Henley was you were getting these great prices on him to finish top 20 and individual round scores and head-to-head matchups. Now that value is kind of gone. So now he's priced as a top 11 golfer, but he's never finished top 11 here. 4 missed cuts in the last 6 years, a 13th and a 19th. He's having an incredible year, but you're just not getting a good deal on him anymore. And we always worry about these guys after they win. These guys that are on long droughts of, not having won tournaments. It's obvious a possible letdown spot. So I'm going to proceed with caution on Henley. Maybe I might get into some daily matchups or individual round scores late if he does look like he's still playing good. But just think the value is all gone on Russell Henley. There's no more sneaking around and, I'm making money on Russell Henley. It's like, nope, everybody knows. So Xander Schauffele, Collin Morikawa, and Russell Henley are 3 players that I think can trip you up this week. All right, let's take a look at an outright winner. Let's take a look at your your favorite. I think we're going head-to-head, correct?
Yeah, back-to-back weeks. By the way, Xander Schauffele, a matchup available. Patrick Cantley is plus 115 against Xander. I hate Cantley, for the record, and betting on him. I never do well, but it's a pretty good price. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that was like when Patrick Reed was on tour. I lost every bet that I made on. I bet on him. It's terrible. I bet against him. He's the best player in the world. So I'm with you, but I agree. It's Cantlay in that matchup over Xander. So
yeah,
all right, who you got pegging to win this week?
All right. So last week, clearly you got the better of me on our head-to-head with Xander. This week, I am going to go back to the well on Morikawa, thinking he can follow up last week. I think that close call, if he looks at it the right way and if his headspace is the right way, he didn't lose that tournament, right? He played well on Sunday. He did everything he needed to do. He got outdone. He let's be honest. If Russell Henley doesn't chip in for eagle on 16, Morikawa likely wins that tournament. Maybe Henley makes birdie. Maybe they go into a playoff. I don't know. It's clearly going to play out a lot differently. But I think there's a good chance Morikawa wins that if it's not for Henley's chip at eagle. So I think, while it does take a lot out of Morikawa, headspace, whatever you want to say, week to week to continue to keep up, he's playing very, very, very consistent. In his ball striking numbers, he's always been one of the best. It's his second runner-up finish this year. He finished runner-up at the Century. It's his third in his last 6 starts. He also finished runner-up at the Tour Championship at the end of the last year. So he continues to knock on the door. He's trying to knock off or get his first win in 18 months. His last was the 23 Zozo. He hit the ball beautifully last week. He led the field, strokes gained, ball striking, which is the combination of off the tee and approach. He was basically break even with his putter at minus 0.12. So likely he's going to need to improve on that to have a chance to win, but his ball striking alone is going to put him in the mix. He's had only one, you mentioned his history here, he's had only one top 15 finish in 5 starts. But as we mentioned before, Sawgrass, notorious for inconsistent results. I mentioned, Rory already. Justin Thomas is another guy. He won in 2021, but in his 4 other most recent starts around that win, tied for 33rd was his best with another missed cut. So bottom line, I'm not too concerned about his track record. I'm really looking at the form coming in. I'm hoping he can kind of keep his foot on the pedal and use last week as a springboard to get that one more higher finish, let's say, and get over the hump. But 14-1, listen, over Rory or over Scottie, I thought he presented a little bit better value. So I liked Collin this week as my favorite.
Love it. If you guys could hit the like button, only takes a couple seconds. It really helps us out. Leave us a comment. Tell us who you like this week in the comment section. Let's move to Draftkings Darlings. Another nice week. I put that lineup in a 150-person tournament. We finished 47th, and that was with 2 guys missing the cut. I went through a lot of people's lineups. They really struggled in DFS last week, but it helps when you had Henley win and Keegan Bradley finish 5th in your lineup.
Yeah.
So that'll move you up the leaderboard. All right, let's take a look this week at Taylor Moore at 5,600. This is an absolutely insane price that I found on DraftKings. He's finished 35th and 31st the last 2 years here. He's made 6 cuts in a row this season. Driving and putting has been fantastic the last 30 days. His approach numbers haven't been that good, but it hasn't prevented him from making cuts. So I don't understand this 5,600. I actually put the lineup in and then like an hour later went back just to make sure that they didn't change the price. But when I put it in, it's 5,600 on Taylor Moore. So I'll gladly take it. Also take 5,900 on Jake Knapp. I like that he took last week off. That 6th place finish the previous week, looks good on paper, but he might be a little bit disappointed. Here's the big thing with him. That was 7 tournaments in a row. I think a week off probably did him a little bit good, kind of refresh the batteries there a little bit. So he finished 45th here last year, and he's plus 0.54 approach and plus 0.42 putting this season, more than good enough to make the cut. So if he keeps up those numbers, I expect to make the cut at 5,900. We're sitting on a really good price there. And then Keith Mitchell, 7,000. He's been just a made cut machine this season. All 5 tournaments he's played in, he's made the cut. And he's made the cut in 5 out of 6 events he's played here. Always been a long hitter with, lackluster stats in the other areas. I'm not saying he's bad at golf. I'm just saying his stats are just blah once he gets off the tee. But plus strokes gained, putting, approach, and around the green this season, just barely. So good enough to play at this price, in my opinion. We just need 3 lower price guys so we can take a swing at some bigger players. So if you're looking for the rest of the lineup, that article is up on my player profile page at WagerTalk, wt.buzz/AL. It's the same page where you can get the golf special. So just click on digital download and you can see the write-ups on all the DraftKings Darlings and the players that can trip you up. So take advantage of that, wt.buzz/AL. Nick, you're going to go into a little bit more of a long shot. Tell everyone what you have up at WagerTalk, where we can find you, and then give us a little bit of a longer shot who you think is going to play well.
Sure. By the way, the books need to put a line out for Keith Mitchell, over under on number of buttons unbuttoned on his shirt. That's what I would bet every week. Right now, Andy, we have Champions League kicking off this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, in action number 1 this season in Champions League, up over 25 units. I don't know if you'll get to watch this in time for best bet on Tuesday for just $5, but definitely we'll have another best bet on Wednesday as well. And of course, MLS, only 3 weeks into the season, goes all the way through the end of December, or excuse me, the beginning of December. And that package is $3.99, includes every play all along the way. Already off to a winning start this season, going for 7 years winning in a row. So hope to continue that run. And both of those right now are available at my page at WagerTalk. This week, Andy, if I'm going down the list, I talked about a rinse and repeat kind of earlier when it comes to the strokes gain chart. Well, I'm rinse and repeating my worthy long shot. Last week I said Sepp Straka. This week I say Sepp Straka. There is no reason to get off this train. He is 50-1. He was a little longer odds last week, but he's 50-1 this week. He had to play great over the weekend to bank another top 10. But tie for 5th last week, tie for 11th when he kicked off the Florida Swing 2 weeks ago at the Cognizant. So now 7 top 15 finishes in his last 9 starts, Andy, including the win at the American Express. His iron game is elite. I mean, it really is up there with the top 5 players in the world. He doesn't hit it far, right? That's the one thing that holds him back. But the way these courses set up, it's more important to get in the fairways when you're talking about 4-inch rough than it is to be 20, 30 yards further down and in the rough. That is a penalty nowadays. So I think that's helped him. But because he's hitting balls out of the fairway, able to get spin on those irons, that just makes his approach strokes, or excuse me, his approach numbers even better. So I really like Sepp Straka again. He does have some actual, you talk about course history and the volatility of it. He actually does have some pretty good finishes here. He's got 2 top 16 finishes in his last 3 starts in this tournament. So combine the great form that he's in, probably the best of his career, easily the best of his career, and a little good history here recently at this event. 50-1, I think, is fair. I love another top 10 at plus 450, and certainly a top 20 at better than 2-1. So I think Sepp Straka is going to make another run again this week.
Just steady, steady, steady. Yeah, love Sepp Straka. Like he's great to just put your seasonal fantasy lineups. He just gets you points. Your weekly fantasy lineups. He's just him and Fleetwood. Yep. They're boring, but just so consistent. You just kind of know what
boring
you're
is about the best compliment you can have in golf.
This is what we say all the time. Like making money in sports betting, boring is good. Just chug away, grind away. That's the way I treat my bankroll and look at it. I'm not going to have like huge plays on the nationally televised games. Like we're just going to grind away units in areas that most people are probably not looking. So yeah, that's why I love guys like Fleetwood and Straka. I just know exactly what they're going to give us. So take advantage of those guys. So all right, guys, that is going to do it for us. Again, if you haven't hit the like button, do that before we get out of here. Make sure you leave us a comment, tell us who you like, and subscribe to the channel. And once more, running that 30-day promo, normally $99. That's knocked down to $49. You can get 5 weeks of our plays, wt.buzz/AL or wt.buzz/NB. That gets you 5 tournaments of golf plays, Players, Valspar, Houston Open, Texas Open, and the Masters. An incredible run here for golf. So thanks for joining us. Don't forget to come back here next week where we'll break down the Valspar. Good luck on your plays, and we'll see everyone later.